कदाञ्चना स्मृते यस्मिन् दुष्करं सुकरं भवेत् विस्मृते विपरीतं स्यात् श्रीचैतन्य नमामितम्। योऽन्ता प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तान् सञ्जीवयत किल शक्तिधरा स्वधाम्ना अन्यांश हस्तचरणश्रवणात्वगादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्। Hare Krishna. Welcome to our weekly discussions on Srimad Bhagavatam. So today we will have, we'll continue our discussions from text number 1.4.7. Although we briefly spoke about 7 and 8 last time, we will continue nevertheless. So for those of you who may not remember, we are discussing 3 set of questions that the sages are asking after their 6 questions have been answered. In the first 3 chapters of the first canto, 6 questions are asked and they were answered. Now begins a fresh set of 3 questions. One concerning Srimad Bhagavatam's appearance, second on Shukdev Goswami, and third is on Parikshit Maharaj. So last time we have discussed about questions on Bhagavatam and questions on Shukdev Goswami. And now we are beginning the discussions on questions on Parikshit Maharaj. And once this ends, these questions end in verse number 12. From verse number 13 onwards will be the answers to these 3 questions. The rest of the 4th chapter until the 19th chapter will be answers to these 3 questions. And a lot of pastimes will be discussed. So now we are at the final part of these questions. I hope this is, everybody's memory is revived. And last time we discussed about Shukdev Goswami, how he used to go naked and he was misunderstood to be a madman. Right? We discussed that. And then we discussed in great detail about a Vaishnava's self-effacing quality. So today we'll continue our discussion from text number 7. So if you have access to Srimad Bhagavatam, please repeat after me. So everybody has access, you can repeat. And after we read the verse, Prabhu, you can read the translation. Okay? So please repeat. Katam va pandaveyasya rajarshir munina saha samvadah samabhutata yatresha satvati shruti.
How did it so happen that King Parikshit met this great sage, making it possible for the great transcendental essence of the Vedas, Bhagavatam, to be sung to him?
So, till now it was about Shukdev Goswami. Now, the question is, okay, Shukdev Goswami is great sage, but how come he met King Parikshit? And how did Bhagavatam get transferred from Shukdev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj? Okay, this question is very deep because in the previous verses it is established that Shukdev Goswami is very great, right? But people are thinking what are people thinking about him? Madman. Although he is great person, but people are thinking he is madman. And this so-called madman, although he is a great person, he is meeting whom? Parikshit Maharaj. And who is Parikshit Maharaj? Emperor of the planet. See, Modi is right now only the PM of India. Or Biden is only US, right? Xi Jinping is only China. Imagine somebody who is the PM for the whole planet, how powerful he must be, if at all there exists such a person. So Parikshit Maharaj is emperor of the planet. Shukdev Goswami is apparently a madman. Although he's a great soul, but externally he's a madman. So naturally the question will arise that how can the security of the emperor of the planet allow such a madman to meet the emperor of the planet? Matlab, kya hua hai? What happened? So that is the deep thing behind the question. That is the mood in which they're asking this question. That we are wonderstruck that, I mean, isn't it, don't you think, if there is a madman walking in the streets and he tries to meet the Prime Minister, won't the security stop him? Like one man tried to enter Gorakhnath temple with weapon. And such a big issue happened. Security. And then they are saying he's a mad fellow. Although he's from IIT, the chemical engineer. But so much concern was raised about the security. So if the emperor of the planet is there and a madman comes and meets him, this is an extraordinary special event. So we want to know how it happened. That is the mood in which they ask. Now forget about emperors. Even we, ordinary people, if we see a crazy man on street who's talking to himself loudly, what do? Do you go and embrace him? Do you say, okay, let me hear from you? Krishna Katha? No, we avoid it. So we will avoid such a person. What to speak of the emperor of the planet? So basically, this episode is showing that there is a connection between great people. Parikshit Maharaj is also great, devotee from Krishna from childhood. Shukdev Goswami is also a great soul, which is already established. Basically, it takes one to know one. We may not understand. When we see a crazy man on street talking to himself, we may not give it so much importance. So Parikshit Maharaj is a great person. Shukdev Goswami is a great soul. And they were recognized. So, and Parikshit Maharaj realized that Shukdev Goswami is great. That means Parikshit Maharaj is also a great soul. That is how we understand this section. Because it's not easy to not judge people based on their externals. I'm sure all of us have experienced that we sometimes misjudge a person simply based on the externals. I remember as a young devotee in the temple, I had the seva of distributing books in the local trains of Mumbai. And once while distributing, I saw a man sitting in very soiled shorts and a t-shirt which was very dirty, and he had long ponytail and he looked very shabby and big beard. And naturally, we give books to people who we think would buy the book. So I saw him and I was trying to avoid him. He said, Hare Krishna. So I looked at him. And then before I could react, he said, come here. So I went a little close. He said, Hare Krishna Prabhu. I am Srila Prabhupada's disciple. And he started speaking about, our Maharaj and so many things about ISKCON. And when he said, I'm Prabhupada's disciple, I immediately thought he's lying or he's just trying to get attention. And I had to distribute my books. So I avoided it. And I just said, Hare Krishna, and I ran away. I went away. And we are partners. Two of us would go for book distribution together. So there is another devotee, Raj Gopal Prabhu. He was also in the ashram at that time. Now he's married and he's a family. So he was there with me. And I distributed the book and I went to the next coach. And then later on, when we went to temple, he met me. I said, I lost you. He said, yes, Prabhu, I met this person who was Srila Prabhupada's disciple. I dismissed him and I said, come on, anybody says anything, you can't believe them. They waste your time. And I was supposed to be training our younger devotees for book distribution. And I was so cynical about that. And he said, Prabhu, but I offered him Dandavat in the train. I said, bahut zyada ho gaya. I said, so then I dismissed him and I continued. And I said, I gave him training. I said, you should not waste time. A farmer plants his seeds only when the soil is fertile. You should distribute books and spend time with people who will be interested in Krishna consciousness. So I gave him a good lecture. And he heard me submissively. And our days went on. And after a few days, I got a message from His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj's personal secretary. He said, Maharaj wants to meet you. So I went and Maharaj said, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. You have made me so happy. I am so proud of you. And he kept glorifying me. And I was like, what happened? He said, you are training our younger devotees to distribute books so nicely. I said, what happened, Maharaj? I was trying to understand what happened. He said, oh, one of my very dear friends, he was in the local train and you met him. I said, then I suddenly realized what happened. And then Maharaj said, I asked Govinda Prabhu and Gauranga Prabhu, who are these devotees? Who is in charge of the devotees? Who is this devotee going in the local trains? And they told me it is you. So I was in charge and I was anyway going in the local train. So they naturally told Maharaj that it must be Vraja Bihari. So then Maharaj said, I'm so proud of you. And he kept glorifying me. And after he finished, I said, Maharaj, I'm extremely sorry. It is not me. I have another devotee, Raj Gopal Prabhu. Maharaj said, oh, really? Oh, I'm so happy. You know what he did? And then Maharaj told me his name, that person's name. And I said, do you know, he's a very senior person, but he likes to dress in a very shabby way. And day before yesterday, we had a meeting in ISKCON Juhu where all the senior leaders had come and he was the senior most there and he glorified our temple and our hospitality department so much. He said this book distributor respected him so much and honored him. And he kept glorifying to Maharaj. And then Maharaj told me, and every word he was saying was like as if it was like an arrow piercing my heart at my own folly, And then Maharaj said, I told him that we have created a culture in our temple that if anybody misbehaves with a guest like you, that will be the last day of his in the temple. We have to respect everyone. And I was like, I didn't respect him, I avoided him. I was telling myself then, of course, but it was a very sobering lesson. So many times we don't know who is who. And Shukdev Goswami was somebody like that. And, if we judge, if we judge somebody as madman, we won't go near him. And imagine if ministers and administrators, they understand that somebody is a crazy fellow. Or will they allow him to meet the emperor of the planet? Therefore, how did this happen? That is the question in this verse. How did this meeting happen? This is amazing. And if you see the last line of the shloka, that says what? Yatresha Satvati Shruti. See, this word Satvati Shruti is very beautiful. Satvati means transcendental scriptures which are not ordinary. And Shruti means the essence of Vedas. So, a beautiful name of Srimad Bhagavatam is Satvata Shruti. That transcendental scripture which is the essence of the Vedas. We generally say Srimad Bhagavatam, but in a very poetic way, if you want to refer to Bhagavatam, you could also say it is Satvati Shruti. Or there is another name of Bhagavatam you will find elsewhere. It is also called as Shuka Samhita, the book spoken by Shukdev Goswami. So like that. There are beautiful names. And this combination of Shukdev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj was not planned. It was not a planned event. That we should know very clearly. There was no, prior notice. Therefore, this verse which we are discussing today reveals the curiosity and the excitement of the audience, led by Shaunaka Rishi, who desperate to know how did this meeting happen. And this astonishment which they have, now there is a reason why they're astonished. You may say, what is so astonishing? Okay, he was a madman, but he's a great soul and he met the emperor of the planet. So what's the big deal? Why they have to be astonished? I mean, what is so great about it? The reason, there is a very special reason why the sages were astonished that Shukdev Goswami met Parikshit Maharaj and he spoke Bhagavatam for 7 days and 7 nights. There is a very special reason why there is astonishment. And that reason is revealed in the next verse, verse number 8. So please repeat after me. Sago dohana matram hi griheshu grihamedhinam avekshate mahabhagas tirti kurvam sadashramam.
He, Shukdev Goswami, was accustomed to stay at the door of a householder only long enough for a cow to be milked. And he did this just to sanctify the recipe.
This is very interesting. How long did Shukdev Goswami stay in anybody's house? How long did he stay?
Not more than 1 week.
Not more than?
1 week or
15 minutes.
No, not more than 15 to 20 minutes or half an hour maximum. Because this verse says, Sa go dohana matrami, you would not stay longer than the time required to milk the cow. One of the measurements of time in Vedic literature is go dohana matram, the time to milk a cow. So instead of saying 20 minutes, half an hour, they would say time for milking a cow. So he would stay not longer than time required to milk a cow. So they are astonished because such a person who doesn't stay for more than 15-20 minutes, he has spent 7 days and 7 nights speaking Bhagavatam. That is why they are astonished. And griheshu grihamedinam, because here grihamedhi means one who is envious in the household life. Grihastha means one who has taken shelter of God in household life. So Shukdev Goswami would never spend time with the envious householder. He's a renunciant. He has no business spending time with people who are interested in mundane, ordinary affairs. So for him to stay 7 days and 7 nights, and he's a great soul, even when he stayed for that time for milking a cow, don't get, Shaunaka Rishi is saying, don't be on this illusion that he stayed Why did he stay for so long? To drink the milk of the cow? That is not mentioned here. It's not that he stayed because he wanted to drink the milk. No. That the last line of the verse. See, what is the last line? Tirti Kuruvams Tadashramam. Tirti Kuruvams means converting a place to a holy place. So he would go to the house of householders to convert their miserable life to a holy place, to convert their house to a holy place. So such a person who doesn't stay for long and just goes to sanctify the residence, he stayed for 7 days and 7 nights. So this is very, very interesting. So what was his agenda? Why Shukdev Goswami would go anywhere? Just to sanctify the house of householders. A renunciant is supposed to go to the house of householders only to sanctify their house, not to drink milk, not to enjoy. That is what is mentioned here. So that's why they're surprised. How can he stay for 7 days and 7 nights? So this verse, which we have just now discussed, verse number 8, is very important for us to understand the dynamic relationship between a householder, like all of you, and a renunciant like Shukdev Goswami. The relationship between a sannyasi and a householder is very dynamic. It is mentioned in this verse. And here the word uses Graha Medhi. Graha Medhi means envy. Basically, this verse is explaining how a householder, if he is not connected to the Lord, then the renounced order should be careful of associating with those people who are attached to materialistic household life. That is what the message is of this verse. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would say this beautiful verse, Nishkinchanasya Bhagavad Bhajano Nukasya Param Param Jigamisor Bhavasagarasya Sandarshinam Vishahinam Atayoshitam Cha Ahanta Hanta Vishapakshanato Pasadu. He says, a renounced order should only be focused on developing love for the Lord. Nishkinchanasya Bhagavad Bhajano Mukasya Param Param Jigamisor Bhavasagarasya. He should be aspiring to get out of this material world, which is what Shukdev Goswami was right from the beginning. And he will never associate with the householder, especially not for 7 days and 7 nights. And Yoshitamcha, to be engaged in enjoying the opposite sex or being in the company of those who are attached to the opposite sex. Oh, worse than that. It is worse. That association is worse than Hanta Hanta Vishabhakshanato Pasadu. Worse than drinking poison is associating with opposite sex and enjoying that company for a spiritualist. If you are interested in spiritual life and you are engaging in frivolous enjoyment, then that is considered to be worse than drinking poison. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had said this. Now this verse reveals this particular shloka which we chanted today, verse number 8, where Shukdev Goswami is said to be in the house of a person only for as long as it takes to milk a cow. This verse reveals how a renounced order should not stay in the householder's house. In fact, if he stays, what will happen? Any guesses? For so long, what will happen to the renounced order? Allure means what? Attracted means what?
Attachments.
Just wait. Just somebody here wanted to say?
Attachments, develops attachments.
Can you say something more on these attachments, attraction, distraction? What exactly will happen to his heart?
Desires.
These are all adjectives. I'm saying what exactly will...
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
Deviation from the spiritual path.
Sorry? Deviation from the spiritual path. What do you mean by deviation from the spiritual path? What do you mean by distraction? What do you mean by attracted? What do you mean by...
The person will get entangled into the materialistic things and he will slowly and gradually move out of the spiritual world.
Correct.
He will develop a liking for material things.
Yeah, you are right. Basically, all of you are right. I just wanted you to say more. Basically, what will happen is, if a renounced order spends time with the man who is attached to wealth and women and enjoyment, then by staying for 7 days and 7 nights with him, he will also develop the same desire to enjoy wealth and women. Because that association, that energy will suck him in. So when Hridayananda Maharaj was taking sannyas, Srila Prabhupada told him that you are going to deal with householders as a sannyasi, never be envious of them. Don't think that, oh, he's so rich. Oh, he has so much nice money, such a beautiful wife, he has such a big house. Oh, how I wish I had that. Don't think like this. If you think like this, you're not qualified to be in the renounced order. And if you are envying them, then the whole purpose of being in the renounced order is defeated. That is what Srila Prabhupada told Hridayananda Maharaj. So this verse, basically what it says is, Shukdev Goswami spent 7 days and 7 nights with Parikshit Maharaj, right? Discussing Bhagavatam. Basically what this verse is revealing is that the interaction of a renounced order and Grihastha, when they come together, that interaction should be mutually beneficial. It was mutually beneficial, that is why they came together. So you may say, how exactly that it will be mutually beneficial? Simple. See, for a Grihastha, we can understand how it is beneficial, because a great soul is coming and, he's entangled in material affairs. So, he gets some, he's very selfish. He's in his own world. And then a renounced order person comes, he feels happy, relieved, he becomes charitable. Because this selfishness is not wrong. See, in one sense, when you're a householder, to be concerned about your own well-being is natural and also necessary. So don't misunderstand. It's not that, it is wrong to think about your own safety. And because if you're not safe and if you don't take care of yourself, then you can't really serve others. There is a difference between being selfish and, self-care and selfishness are different. So self-care is not wrong. And so when a renounced order comes to that person's house who is absorbed in his own life, then the clog, that the narrow thinking which is clogging his mind gets open. And the householder starts feeling charitable. He wants to serve. He sees, oh, this person is so happy without any possession. So he becomes happy. So it is good for a Grihastha that a renounced order comes home. But how, if it is mutually beneficial, how can it be beneficial for renounced order? That he has met Parikshit Maharaj for 7 days and 7 nights is with him. How is it beneficial for a renounced order to associate with a Grihastha?
That he's been able to serve.
Yes.
Opportunity to serve.
Exactly. He wants to serve selflessly, right? He wants to glorify Krishna. And here he's getting a chance to glorify Krishna for 7 days and 7 nights. So he's very happy. So therefore, the householder is providing him an opportunity to serve. So the renounced order feels very happy that, but if the renounced order has an agenda, well, he's invited me. I'm going to stay in his house. I'm going to drink hot milk. I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this donation. Then what will happen is, then the relationship will become very messy. When the renounced order has an agenda other than to serve, then his relationship with the householder will become very, very messy. And there will be a lot of friction. So it has to be mutually beneficial. Like, for example, a householder, I know many Grihastha friends of mine who sometimes want to go on a holiday. They may go to Australia, Switzerland, US, Canada. Once in a year, they may go for a holiday. Now, because of our preaching services, a renounced order person may also be traveling to the same places. It's possible. Now, so when a householder goes to a tourist spot, he may be having this mood that, okay, I'm going to enjoy this place. I've not seen this place. Let me go here. He may be very excited and happy. Now, a renounced order person may also go to the same place, but his motivation has to be different. If he has the same motivation, then it will be a disaster eventually. The agenda has to be to help, to add value, to contribute, to make a difference to somebody. That is the foundation. And when that desire is there, then that place becomes a holy place. Otherwise, that place doesn't become a holy place. If a renounced order thinks I will get money or I will get followers, my Facebook friends will increase. My tweets, I'll get a lot of likes on my YouTube videos. Then that's going to be disastrous. So he can't make money or followers. That is very clear. Like, I have gone for a few visa interviews and a few places, even in immigration. Like I remember at Amsterdam, I was at the immigration. So he asked me, "Why are you coming here?" So I said, "I'm a monk." Because they had to travel through Middle East, so I was in track pant and t-shirt. I was not in the monk dress. So I said, I'm a monk. So he said, so you have money with you? I said, no, I'm a monk. I have come for service, preaching. I just told him honestly, I've come for service. He became so suspicious. They didn't let me go. They kept me there for 6 hours. Then of course they let me because the person was hosting me. I'd come to the airport, and then I got out. And next year when I went to Amsterdam, same thing happened. The immigration officer asked me, so why are you coming here? Immediately said, I've come to enjoy. You have money? I have a lot of money. I have a credit card also. I have taken somebody's debit card. I showed him. Oh, very good. All the best. Let me go. But many times these visa interviewing officers and all of them, like even US visa interview, I remember, pointed questions. How much money are you going to charge for your visit? I said, I don't charge any money. So they want to be convinced that you are actually a monk. How much money are they going to pay you? No. You will earn money from this? No. So whenever I used to go through this visa thing or immigration, I used to feel, oh, they are reminding me. They are like representatives of Prabhupada, they're telling me, hey, you are coming here, not coming here to enjoy, okay? So that's how it should be ideally. But honestly speaking, it's not like that. Like I remember when I went to Zurich, I was very happy seeing some new places. But at the same time, I have realized that sometimes, we can't give up enjoying, but at least if we take permission from Krishna and beg forgiveness from Krishna, that is better than artificially saying that, I don't enjoy a nice place going there, So I tell Krishna, I'm sorry. Kya abhi ichha tha dekh liya jagah, but I want to love you. I want to serve you. So like that, we can be authentic. But ideally, if you are representing Shukdev Goswami, this is very important. Like the first and the last line of this verse is very, very important. Sa go dohana matram hi. He stayed in the house only as long as it takes to milk a cow. And tirti kurvam kadashramam. And that also he stayed only to convert that place into a holy place. In fact, he may not take the milk also. He may just go there. See, in Vedic language, there's a lot of poetry. Like, there's a lot of ways of saying how much time it takes. Like in Tulu, in the place I come from, they say, if I ask them, how far is that house? They'll say, Kupa Dura. Or in Tamil, they say, Kupata Dura. Means it is as far as the sound of your, when you shout, the point till which that your voice can be heard, that's how far it is. Kupata Dura. You shout and the voice will be heard till a certain point of time, and that's where your destination is. So what a poetic way of saying Kupata Duram or Sa go dohana matram. So instead of saying 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I've seen in villages when you ask them, "Arey ghar kahan hai?" Idhar hi aa gayi hai. Kitna dur hai? Bas jate raho. Idhar hi hai. Bas pahunch jaoge. They may sometimes it is half an hour it takes. But gaon mein kya hai? The measurement of time is very abstract. We want microseconds ka. So they live a little laid back life anyway. So, but they are more focused on spiritual growth. That's one measurement of time. That another unit of time given in Srimad Bhagavatam is called Nimisha. Nimisha is the time it takes to blink your eyes. The eyelids, how they move. How much time it takes to blink. I mean, we blink so many times in the last half an hour and we're not even conscious of it. And it takes Nimisha. Nimisha means a microsecond. It just happens, right? So that is also a measurement of time. And in ISKCON also we have a very unique measurement of time. I don't know if you have experienced it. Like I used to stay in Gopal's Garden High School in Borivali. And when somebody would ask me, I remember when somebody asked me, I said, Prabhuji, I'm going to come from Borivali station to your school. How far is it? And I was about to say 15 minutes. And before I could say, the devotee next to me said, Prabhuji, bas do round ho jayega aapka. We chant Hare Krishna Japa in our beats. One round takes around 7 minutes to 8 minutes. And so devotees chant 16 rounds. They become very conscious of the chanting and the time it takes to chant. They become so conscious that it has become part of their calculation of time also. कितना दूर है प्रभु? 2 माला हो जाएगा. ग्रैंड स्टेशन कितना दूर है मंदिर से? वो 1.5 माला हो जाएगा.
हाँ, but there assistant went.
नहीं मुक गया तो.
Somebody has to mute. Jaideep Prabhu, I think.
Yes, Prabhuji.
You'll have to mute, I think. Okay, thank you. So basically, there is a poetic measurement of time in Vedic culture. Of course, ISKCON is a little but it's a little perverted measurement. We want to avoid, it reflects our callousness towards the chanting of the holy names. That's another subject matter. So anyway, so verse 8, this verse we just now discussed, where Sukadeva Goswami takes only as much time as it takes to milk a cow. This is connected to the previous verse, because in the previous verse, it is said that Parikshit Maharaj met a great sage. And in this verse, it is said, this great sage who never stays at a place for so long, how come he stayed for so long? That's how this verse is very astonishing. So there is a very beautiful purport about the dynamics of householder and renounced order, which I just now mentioned. So can you read it, Prabhu, loudly? Starting from the sentence, Sukadeva Goswami met Emperor Parikshit.
Sukadeva Goswami met Emperor Parikshit and explained the text of Srimad Bhagavatam. He was not accustomed to stay at householder's residence for more than half an hour at a time of milking the cow. And he would just take in alms from the fortunate household. That was to sanctify the residence by his auspicious presence. Therefore, Sukadeva Goswami is an ideal creature, established in the transcendental position. For his activities, those who are in the renounced order of life are and dedicated to the mission of preaching the message of Godhead should learn that they have no business with householders, save and except to enlighten them in transcendental knowledge. Such asking for alms from the householder should be for the purpose of sanctifying his home. One who is in the renounced order of life should not be allured by the glamour of the householder's worldly possession and thus become subsequent to worldly man. For one who is in the renounced order of life, this is much more dangerous than drinking poison and committing suicide.
So very, very clear and unambiguous instruction that a renounced order cannot be attracted by the glamour of the householder, and it is worse than drinking poison. So you as Grahasthas, it is your responsibility also to remind the renounced order. If somebody in the renounced order is more excited by your material qualification than your interest to practice spiritual life, then it is, and if he's awestruck by your material position, then he may either not be qualified to be in the renounced order, or he may be struggling. So you can humbly remind him his job. That way you are protecting him also, and you're ensuring that there is a healthy relationship. It can happen. Because I told you last week how, one famous Bollywood actor had come and how very spontaneously and nonchalantly Zolina Pradhana Swami Maharaj spoke about, how she is suffering. So many of us may not have that natural understanding. That's why there is a reason why scriptures tell the renounced order not to associate with householders. There is a reason. And the reason is because when a renounced order associates with the materialistic people, then his heart also gets allured. And if he has a desire to go back home, back to Godhead, to Krishna, then this is an obstacle. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada also clarifies that here, I want to clarify here, the word used is Graha Medhi. Medhi, see, Grahastha is different from Graha Medhi. In ISKCON, we have many Grahasthas who have made their house into a beautiful temple. So this does not apply to those Grahasthas who have made Krishna at the center of their life. So and those who are centered on Krishna, then brahmachari and renounced order people love to go to their house because they help us remember Krishna. Like renounced order is not supposed to attend marriages, for example. This is one of the clauses. But we had Sahadev Prabhu and Sucharita Mataji, their 63rd wedding anniversary. We were all there, brahmacharis were there. We were celebrating, and we had 2 Varmalas, we got them married again, and we were all chanting, dancing, and they were appreciating each other. And every word they were speaking, we were fully present. Because 63 years you've been with someone reveals a lot about life, dedication, sacrifice, tolerance, respect. So basically, and there is Krishna consciousness, there are principles there. So the idea is that don't associate with Graha Medhi. Grahastha means one who has taken shelter. Medhi, the word Medhi in Sanskrit means what? Again, it's a very poetic way of saying. In the villages, I don't know if you've seen, when the bull draws water from the well, there is a system. The bull keeps going in circles and the water is drawn and the water is put into the crops. Have you seen it? At least in the movies or in television, you see it. It's very common. So that thing to which the bull is tied, that is called Medhi. So when a householder who is only thinking about his life, his needs, his desires, and is going in circles. In his own life, he's called as a Graha Medhi. He's not able to think of life beyond his life. Therefore, it is said that if a person is only thinking about his job, his money, his sex life, his bank account, then he is not a Grihastha. So such a person, if a renounced order goes, then he also gets infected. And infection happens when you're not immune. The immunity is not there. So therefore, if a householder is not connected to Krishna, the renounced order will also get affected. So therefore, you are advised, a renounced order is advised not to associate with them because you will pick up that energy. I hope this is clear. And it is also possible that the renounced order may not be mature. That is also possible. And I've seen many times the renounced order may not be mature and the Grihastha may be glorious. He may be absorbed in Krishna. Then the Grihastha has to guide and protect the renounced order. That is also responsibility. So Srila Prabhupada, once he was in San Francisco, the initial days of ISKCON, and he said, we'll do Kirtan in Avalon Ballroom. 5,000 drug addicts and hippies came for that rock concert. And Srila Prabhupada said, we'll go and do Kirtan there and tell them about Hare Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada took a few devotees with him to help him. And you can imagine 5,000 crazy hippies are there in that hall. And Srila Prabhupada is chanting Hare Krishna. 72-year-old man is thumping his kartas and is chanting and dancing, making everyone dance. And that was a crazy, crazy atmosphere. And after the program, when they were going out, Srila Prabhupada looked at his disciples and he said, this is not a place for you brahmacharis. This is not a place where you should be going. So Srila Prabhupada, during that program, there was one servant of Prabhupada who was a brahmachari. He had also come with Prabhupada to that Avalon Ballroom rock concert. He was also attracted by that program. And in the night, when Srila Prabhupada was sleeping, he stole some money. And in the night, he sneaked out and he went away for good. Because he went and joined that hippies group. So imagine he was staying with the pure devotee of Krishna, but his desires are very strong. And when we are not qualified and we are tested, we fail. And Srila Prabhupada, there is a very nice pastime in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not different from Krishna. He is an incarnation of Krishna. When he came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he had a servant called Kala Krishna Das, who was a brahmachari. And they were going to South India. And there, the Bhattahari community, they would increase their group by alluring people with money and wealth. So this Kala Krishna Das was a very gentleman. But he got attracted by this. Stri Dana Dekana Tanra Lobhajan Mela Arya Sarala Viprera Buddhina Shahoila. The verse says that Stri Dana Dekha, usne Stri aur Dhan ko dekha, Lobha Janmila. And the best part is he was not an uncouth, uncivilized, ungracious, low-class man from the slums or the ghettos. No, he was Arya. He was a very cultured man. Sarala, he was very simple at heart. Vipra, he was very clean. He had cleanliness standards. फिर भी क्या हुआ? Arya Sarala Viprera Buddhi Nasha Hoila. His intelligence got corrupted. And Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that if somebody is with the Lord and can get distracted, what to speak of you and me? We are all simple people. And this applies to Grihasthas also. If you associate with a person who is not at all interested in spiritual life, another householder like you, apparently externally, but he is only interested in sense gratification, then you also get contaminated. So I see Grihasthas coming to temple and associating with brahmacharis because that gives them the strength to deal with the people they interact in the day-to-day life. And brahmacharis become happy to meet such Grihasthas because these Grihasthas are Krishna conscious and their example of being in the world and being Krishna conscious inspires the brahmacharis. Like when I stayed with my mother for 8 months last year during COVID and I was managing the house and everything, going to the hospital, running around, doing so many things. Every day, every hour, I was appreciating all the Grihasthas of our congregation. To practice bhakti, to manage your responsibilities, do everything, it requires amazing courage and amazing dedication. So therefore, it is important that there is a healthy relationship between the Grihasthas and renounced order. So if a renounced order is reluctant, if you see somebody in the renounced order is very reluctant to visit houses or he is not wanting some name, fame, you should respect and honor that desire. Because he may be, because his first service is to save himself. That is his first service. Because then he can inspire others. He has to be absorbed in Krishna. I remember one Grihastha shared a very beautiful experience with me. He comes to temple every Sunday. but he comes in dhoti, kurta, and tilak. Of course, he doesn't wear saffron; he wears white. Now, this is interesting because in India, when people see you in dhoti, kurta, tilak, they think you are a saintly person, regardless of the color of the cloth. So he said that many times when I come to temple, I meet people in the train or somewhere walking. People think I am some saintly person. They come and take blessings from me. Sometimes people have said, "Hamare bachche ko aashirwad dijiye," and all of that. So he says he had a very good realization. He said, "Prabhuji, people think I'm a sadhu, and when they glorify me thinking that I'm connected to the Lord. And if I spend the whole week not reading scriptures, not hearing classes, not chanting well, then I don't have substantial spiritual credits to give them. And when they come and honor me, I can feel that I'm becoming weak. I feel that they're sucking out whatever little bit of spiritual desire I have." So he said, "I now understand probably how important it is for all of you in the Renunciant order to be strong in your spiritual standards." Because there was a person called Chota Haridas in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. He had an inappropriate dealing with a woman and he was banished forever. So, of course, the point is, this is traditional setup, but modern times, a brahmachari can go to a grahastha's house. I'm talking about grahastha who's desiring to serve Krishna and stay for longer than 1 hour, give a class, take prasad, because that prasad that is cooked and offered to the Lord. It is a very beautiful culture of, chanting, kirtan, service. The whole idea is there should not be any frivolity. That the principle is there should be sobriety, and there should be grace and dignity. No frivolous time pass. You can't say that, "Arey Prabhuji." Basically the mood is spiritual, and respect to the women folk and respect to the grahasthas. I mean, you can't appreciate. Renunciant order can't go and appreciate beauty, wealth. That's not the culture in the Renunciant order. You can't say, "Prabhuji, let us, अरे आपके घर पे हमारे घर पे आए प्रभु जी, हम लोग बैठ के चलो अभी हम लोग अभी ये मूवी देखते हैं, चलो साथ में प्रभु जी आपके साथ मूवी देखने में बहुत अच्छा लगेगा." So Renunciant order may also get carried away. Oh, so they are so nice. They're treating me like a family member. But that is a disservice to the order that you have chosen. But sometimes we get a Renunciant order person may get carried away. Oh, they're so loving, they're so caring. But no, initially it may appear good, but long run the relationship turns sour and bitter, because subconsciously you are expecting that person to guide you and protect you and give you spiritual strength. So it becomes a mess. That's what I was trying to say. So, and especially a Renunciant order and a woman, their relationship is supposed to have respect and maintaining a distance, a healthy distance, and only interactions for service. Now, earlier, a man and woman, if they met, they only had to meet in a public place. It was obvious. Then came these phones, even that was landline. So you could know you are talking to someone. Now there are smartphones. In your privacy, you can easily be allured by the material energy. In fact, one Grahastha told me something very interesting. I was like shaken by this. This happened a few years ago. His daughter is 13 years old. And he told me something which shook me. He said, "My daughter went to school," and he is an IT expert anyways. So he had given a smartphone to his daughter as a birthday gift. And he said, "That was the biggest mistake I did," because he discovered most obnoxious and horrible things on her phone. And he said, "Me and my wife understood and learned about a lot of things about intimacy only years after marriage. And my daughter knows all of it." And I'm shocked. Then that's when I realized how the world has changed. Times have changed. And of course, and he was crying, and I didn't know how to help him. I was clueless. But the infection in modern times is very serious and it is intense. So if somebody is interested in spiritual life, and within that, if somebody is wanting to practice Renunciant order, you cannot think that you are Sukhdev Goswami. You can't imitate. And therefore, in ISKCON, we have a very beautiful setup where Grahasthas are very advanced. We have Grahastha Gurus. Like I take guidance from 2 Grahastha Gurus. Burijan Prabhu, he and his wife are Jayatanya Mataji, they are Gurus. They have been married for so many years now. And Kripa Maya Prabhu and Guru Charana Padma Mataji from London. I listen to them humbly. In fact, what they have spoken in lectures in 2015 and 16, I still speak that in my class. So Grahasthas as Guru in a traditional ashram in the Vedic culture, a brahmachari would study in an ashram where his Guru and his Guru Patni, Guru Mata. So Guru Mata and Guru would be taking care of the brahmachari who is staying in the ashram. So grahasthas are ideal to be gurus because they have dealt with the material energy and the protection of a partner who is also going to help them in their spiritual life. And with such people when a Renault order associates, that is very healthy for everyone. So therefore, that is very important because there is an association of spiritual upliftment. There is an exchange of spiritual knowledge. So that is how the relationship should be. Like if you see in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, Nanda Maharaj meets Gargamuni. Krishna is just born. And he tells Gargamuni that you have come to our house. You are a sadhu. You are coming to houses of grahasthas because you take pity on us. You have no purpose other than to serve the Lord. Your only motivation is to elevate us. So please bless us. So indirectly what Nanda Maharaj is doing when he's glorifying Gargamuni, he is telling us, the modern day Renault order people, that what should be your mood. It should be to maintain purity and help others develop purity. So like that, in fact, an ideal Renault order is described in one of the Puranas, a beautiful story about one sadhu. He was walking in the street. He was a Renault order and suddenly saw one young lady breastfeed her baby. For the first verse says that he stopped there and he was stunned. So at that point of time, when you're reading the scripture, you may think he got material desires in his heart. That's what you will come to conclusion. But the next verse says that he saw that and he was stunned and torrents of tears started coming from his eyes. Even at that point of time, it may not be clear to you that what is happening in his heart. You may think he's feeling, lusty and he's feeling guilty, etc. But the third verse says, he stood there stunned, he crying, and he offered loud prayers to the Lord. Oh Lord, you are so kind and merciful that you are taking care of all living entities, from an ant to an elephant to a small baby. You are feeding all the living entities. And with that connection with the Lord and gratitude, he was crying. So the next verse says, this is how an ideal Renault order should be, that when he sees material energy also, he is seeing it in connection with Krishna. And if he doesn't have that standard like Shukdev Goswami, then better to follow Maryada, better to follow a Lakshman Rekha. That is how it should be. So this was a sadhu in a provocative situation, he could remember Krishna. Therefore, one has to be following Maryada at our level. Srila Prabhupada gave a very beautiful example. He grew up in the early 1900s in India, in Bengal. They said during Kumbh Mela, that was a very common practice. Many sadhus would be there in Kumbh Mela, and some very rich householders, they would take their young daughters and try to allure one of the sadhus who's been there for a long time, so that that rich businessman's householder would know that if this sadhu has an union with my daughter and the child is born, that child would be very powerful. So knowing this, some conmen would dress themselves as sadhus and advertise that they've been there for many, many decades. So Srila Prabhupada said, this is a society of cheaters and cheated. So who is cheating whom? So this can also happen in a society when there are desires other than giving Krishna and taking Krishna. Basically, there are three kinds of sadhus. See, one, those who are determined sadhus, who are going against their nature, who are like, typical made in Mumbai products, but we are determined. We want to serve Krishna. One life we want to give Krishna. That is one kind of sadhus. The second is duplicitous, who are not sincere. And third is the natural sadhus. Natural, for them, they doesn't make any difference. They are naturally renounced. So, but in Vaishnava society, we don't discriminate. This is a very important point. I want to end with this. In Vaishnava society, we don't discriminate between grahasthas and renounced order, because grahasthas, by making Krishna the center of their house, they are worshipable. That is very clear. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's closest associates are grahasthas. Srivas Thakur, Nityanand Prabhu, Advaita Acharya. So they were all grahasthas. And he would go to their house, take prasad. So grahasthas and renounced order is excellent if they are also devotees. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was an emblem of renunciation. And he would go and hear Bhagavatam class from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was a married man with 10 children. And Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was a great renunciant. In fact, in our prayer, we say, Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sakshad Vairagya Murtaye. He was the emblem of renunciation. And this person would go and hear from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur was always absorbed in Krishna. So it doesn't matter whether a brahmachari or a grahastha. So the idea is in a Krishna conscious society, whether you are a Grihastha or a Brahmachari, everybody's mood is giving Krishna and taking Krishna. Praja, come to our house, tell us about Krishna. And the Renunciant sort of person is very, very enthusiastic to glorify Krishna. Sometimes he's so enthusiastic that he forgets time. And the Grihasthas have to tell him, Prabhuji, time ho gaya, prasad kar ke. So aisa ho jata hai kabhi kabhi. So, but this is ideal. This is an ideal relationship. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would encourage devotees. In fact, some of the younger devotees, Raghav Pandit and his sister Damayanti, they would make prasad for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very happy with both of them, brother, sister, and he would keep their prasadam. For 1 year, he would keep them and take every day a little bit. So in Krishna consciousness, we don't avoid Grihasthas. It's very important because Grihasthas also carry Krishna in their heart and their association is mutually beneficial. So the important thing is don't socialize. Don't socializing is what is frivolous behavior is what is Srila Prabhupada sometimes would say, life members, people would invite him home, and they were not devotees, like they were just coming to temple and they were rich, wealthy people. Srila Prabhupada would say, I would come to your house, provided you become life member or you chant Hare Krishna. And Prabhupada would go there and take prasad also. Now he could digest that prasad because he was pure. He didn't get affected. He was like Shukdev Goswami, not affected. But you can't say, okay, Prabhupada did it, I will do like that. And we have examples of scores of people who, like it was playing with fire, you get burned. So we can't do that. So there are two components of interaction between married people and renounced order. Two components. One is the spiritual component. The spiritual component, there is no restriction. You can do Krishna Katha for hours. Like, sometimes, not now, when I was little younger, Janmashtami, I would do class in Borivali. I remember giving 5-hour class. Class dete rehne ka. Wo log bhi baithe abhi raat bhar fasting hai. Kuch kar nahi sakte. And out of respect also, they don't want to get up and leave. So I take advantage of that. And so we used to do that. And that spiritual component, there are no restrictions. But when it comes to the other aspect, the personal interactions, which is the other component of a relationship between householders and renounced order, there has to be a Lakshmana Rekha. And that Rekha, that line is line of sobriety, no frivolity. And so, but a Grihastha, renounced order can appreciate Grihasthas. Like Sri Rangapuri was a sannyasi, and he appreciated Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mother, Sachi Mata. I mean, generally, renounced order is not supposed to appreciate a woman. Like, Ravana, when he went as a sadhu, he glorified Mother Sita for her beauty. Mother Sita was shocked. How can he's a sadhu and how can he speak like this? So renounced order is not supposed to do that. But when Sri Rangapuri came to Puri, Jagannath Puri, he told everybody, Sachi Mata, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mother, she is the mother of the universe. And he was glorifying her. But if you see in that entire glorification, there is a lot of grace. There is a lot of dignity. What is disastrous is improper intimacy. That is what is not appreciated, but appreciation can be there. So like this, Krishna Katha, Shukdev Goswami is teaching us how a householder and a renounced order should interact. Your responsibility is to protect the renounced order. And now after these 7 and 8 verses, 9, 10, 11, 12 is about Parikshit Maharaj. We'll quickly chant these verses. And the next class, we will start with the answers to these questions. Text number 9, can you please repeat after me? Abhimanyu sutam suta prahur bhagavatottamam tasya janma mahascharyan karmani chagrinihina.
It is said that Maharaj Parikshit is a great first-class devotee of the Lord, and that his birth and activities are all wonderful. Please tell us about it.
It is said Maha Ascharyan. It is great surprise because Parikshit Maharaj was protected by Krishna when he was in the womb of his mother. We will discuss that when we come to his story later on. So he is already a wonderful person. He is such a great soul, and he subdued Kali when he was an emperor. And his death is also astonishing because Srimad Bhagavatam came out of his event of death. So we are very surprised. Such a great personality is there. So tell us more about it. That is text number 9. Text number 10 is also very interesting. Please repeat. Sa samrat kasya vaheto padunam manavardhana prayopavishto gangayam anadritya dirashriyam.
He was a great emperor and possessed all the opulences of his acquired kingdom. He was so exalted that he was increasing the prestige of the Pandya dynasty. Why did he give up everything to sit down on the bank of Ganges and fast until death?
So, he was a great emperor and he gave up everything to fast unto death. That's one of the reasons why many people don't like ISKCON, to be honest, and they feel upset. One of the reasons is because ISKCON is challenging your lifestyle. May not be directly, but if like you may value, people may value their money, their wealth, their home, right? And our best example, our biggest hero is somebody who gave all of that. So it's a little repulsive for somebody whose goal of life is to have more money or more wealth, more material opulences. Because we are saying that the one who had all of it gave it up. And if I have an ambition to possess that, then I become a little insecure. But we want to assure you that if you come regularly for the Krishna conscious classes, you will understand that Krishna consciousness is not against you being stable in your material life. It is complementing that. Of course, now we are in the context of Sukdev Goswami, so we are discussing this. But we'll also discuss balancing the 4 needs, and we have so many classes on that. So all those things we will discuss later. But right now, this is the mood. He was such a great emperor. And the best part was he not only had all these opulences, he was very young. He was at the peak of his career. And that is text number 11 and 12. So we'll chant this. This is one of the most beautiful verses of the Bhagavatam. And we'll end with this. Text number 11. Namanti atpadaniketam-atmana Shivaya haniyadanani shatrava Katam savira shriyamanga dushtyaja Yuve shato sroshtumaho sahasudhi.
He was such a great emperor that all his enemies would come and bow down at his feet and surrender all their wealth for their own benefit. He was full of youth and strength, and he possessed inseparable fiery opulence. Why did he want to give up everything, including his life?
These are all the astonishing things. How can he give up everything? That means he had charisma also. He was so smart, handsome, wealthy, young, and he was giving shelter to others. This is like the height. I mean, you are taking shelter when you are young, but he was giving shelter to others. That is the last verse for today, where he was giving shelter is mentioned. Text number 12. Shivaya lokasya bhavaya bhutaye ya uttama shloka parayana jana Jivanti natmartamaso parashrayam Mumocha nirvidya kuta kalevaram.
Those who are devoted to the cause of personality of Godhead live only for the welfare, development, and happiness of others. They do not live for any selfish interest. So even though the Emperor Parikshit was free from all attachment to worldly possession, how could he give up his mortal body which was shelter for others?
See, he was giving shelter to others. Not only was young, wealthy, beautiful, successful. So how can such a person give up everything? So this is a very dramatic pastime which we will now start discussing from the next class on. But the essence was today's discussion was relationship between renounced order and householder. See, the Vedic scriptures are so amazing. Look at the balance. A householder is supposed to serve a sannyasi and give him everything that he has. Why? Because the sannyasi is called Maharaj. Maharaj means what? King. Why is king? Because the most difficult thing is to control your senses. So sannyasi is controlling his own senses. That means he is bigger than the Maharaj of this world. So he is a real Maharaj. So we should give him everything. That is the way Grahastha thinks. Now, as a sannyasi is supposed to think, I am a servant and I should not even hint at wanting something. I should not ask for anything. That is the mood of a sannyasi. If a sannyasi says, "Let me enjoy this from this householder," that means he is violating the principle. So look at the check and balance system. A grahastha is supposed to give everything to a sannyasi, and a sannyasi is not supposed to take anything from him. That's how they are safe. That's how they are given protection in the Vedic culture. So this is how Sukdev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj have come together. And now next week onwards, we will discuss the origin of Srimad Bhagavatam, how Srimad Bhagavatam originated from a situation of great depression, emotional depression of Vyasadeva, the author of the Vedas, and how Narad Muni instructed him, and how Bhagavatam came. And after that, we will discuss about the birth and pastimes of Parikshit Maharaj. And then we'll discuss about Shukdev Goswami. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.